Welcome back to Kids Cook Real Food, where we are doing our best to share a new video every day showing you something you can make at home. I noticed that flour was very hard to find in the stores while people were kind of doing their stocking up thing, so I think a lot of people want to get baking. So we are going to show you how we bake homemade rolls. Usually we use a bread maker, but first of all, if you don't have a bread maker, that's not helpful. Second of all, we finished part of our basement and I don't know where my bread maker is. It's packed up somewhere. So we're gonna do the real thing today. We're gonna use our KitchenAid. Look at this hook, you guys. Is that like a Captain Hook? Arrgh! It's called a dough hook. And so the dough hook will do our kneading for us, but if you don't have that machine, you can knead with your hands. All right, so we have a grain grinder, so we got to use a scale to measure our flour. If you don't have a scale, you'll use 4.5 cups whole wheat flour, any kind of whole wheat flour, but ours is already in here. Gabe, do you remember the numbers that we had to measure, that we were looking for in our number of grams? You don't remember? Do you remember, Jen?
540.
540 grams is the same as 4.5 cups. Okay, we need 1.5 cups warm water, and this is room temperature water. So can you lift this up, Gabe? Use your pouring skills, your crayon hand, your guide hand. Pour that right in. We lost a teeny bit, but it'll be just fine. And we do want that water to be pretty warm, not too cold. I hope that it'll be okay. We need 1 egg. The egg helps the whole wheat dough to be nice. No, not yet. Gabe's still at the guide stage. He's going to learn to crack eggs these next few weeks, but we're going to help. We're going to teamwork, okay? Ready? Pull out. Oh, that's beautiful. So many good lessons we learn at home. Now we're going to move those eggs over so we remember we did it. We need a 1/3 cup olive oil. John, do you think you can pour well enough to not overflow? Whew. Okay, I'm nervous. Can he do it? Oh, don't make him laugh. Okay, there you go. That's good. Having a little fat in your bread dough also helps to make it softer. This is 100% whole wheat. So that can have a tendency to get a little dense. So egg and all of it will help. Here, Gabe, I'm going to give you the knife. Pull all that honey out, a 1/4 cup honey. Now that doesn't mean this is a sweet bread, but guess what needs to eat the honey?
Yeast.
Yeah, the yeast. Can you open the jar on that? I keep my yeast in the freezer pulled down because yeast is alive and I don't want it to get old and die. We need 1 tablespoon of yeast. We call that the daddy, although you know the tablespoon word, is it, Jen?
Yeah.
Kind of. So Jen's going to measure that very flat, no holes, no hills. Yes. Sprinkle that in. I'll do finishing touches here, Gabe. Next thing we need 2 teaspoons salt. Can you open the salt please, Jen? Gabe, do you want to be the measurer on this one? Again, scoop big, do a little jiggle inside the container. Oh, that's perfect. 1. That actually is Gabe's family chore for today, is to refill our salt. Because we have a big old 25-pound bag. We would move these over, you're right, but we can't get in Gabe's way. Uh-oh, still not quite all. 2 teaspoons salt sounds like a lot of salt. That does not mean we're going to have salty bread, but salt brings out the flavor in the bread. It would really taste terrible if we tried to leave the salt out. Now, this machine is going to do our work for us. It's going to mix it up, and it's going to knead the bread, and we'll show you in a minute what gluten looks like when it gets stretchy. Scrape those sides. Woo. Doing all the hard work so we don't have to. Added flour about 4 times. Let's look at developed gluten. Ugh. It's heavy. I used to bake yeast bread years ago, and I know just enough to be dangerous. So, the reason we knead the bread, whether that's with your hands or with a dough hook, is so that the gluten in the whole wheat will get stretchy and be able to hold the bubbles that the yeast makes. This is not developed gluten. This is not stretchy enough. More kneading needed. That's more developed gluten. And it's still, it's kind of breaking. It wouldn't hurt to have 2 more minutes of kneading, but this is doing pretty well. So this is about an hour and a half after all my kneading. And I put it in the warmest place I could on this near the stove most of the time. Look, it's alive.
That's really cool.
It's risen.
That's huge.
Let's make rolls. Now we gotta make them into rolls. That's at least doubled in size. So with our nice, very clean hands, we grab about a kid's fist size chunk and shape it into a roll. Usually I say if the dough starts to get legs, meaning if it's like sticking, really sticking to your hands, and we're starting to get there, you might need to give it a dip. Give it a dip in flour. The most important part of this is not that the rolls are beautiful or even that they're perfectly round, because they'll rise again for 45 minutes and they'll kind of flatten themselves out. The important tip or technique is to make sure they're all very similar in size, because we don't want like a tiny roll that would bake very quickly next to a larger roll that would take longer to bake, because then this one's going to get burned or this one's going to be too doughy. So we want to really shoot for the same size. Do you like working with dough? Feels good, doesn't it? It's like Play-Doh. I know you always like to say that. Working with dough can be cathartic. Here's your big vocabulary word for the day. That just kind of means calming. It's a repetitive process. A little bit more calming if you're not rushing to get ready for dinner, but you took it. It's important, especially when we're feeling a little stress or anxiety, to do things with our hands, to do things that are cathartic, that are calming and relaxing. And this is something you can't do on a screen. Getting your hands dirty, nourishing your family, this is really important work. So we've got, sometimes you can get 24 rolls out of this recipe. We've got 19, so that's pretty close. We could make them a little smaller, but I say they're even. They look even to me. Good, yeah? So now, here, Leah, can you just lay that out gently over top of the rolls? That'll keep all the dust or bugs from getting in there. And we'll try, I don't know if we can get them near the stove, because we're cooking soup too, but usually you want to put those in the warmest spot in your house, and for 45 minutes they'll rise.